Ridley Scott's 1975 classic Alien is my favorite movie of all time. It is a movie I can watch and never get tired of it, discovering something new about it, marvel at the amazing cinematography and sets, and of course, geek out at the xenomorph, which is to this day my favorite creature in all of fiction. And for many years, I would follow the Alien franchise and I would find something worthwhile in their new projects. But before I even knew about the Alien franchise, there was a special game back in my days of playing Tomb Raider on my dad's lap that always piqued my interest, only to get denied by my parents because that was the forbidden game that I was not allowed to play by myself. Which didn't stop me from playing it when I was home alone. So yes, even as a little wolf, I was quite the rebel. And the game in question is Alien Trilogy, a first-person shooter that pays homage to the first 3 Alien movies. Why not Resurrection? Well, because the movie wasn't out at the time. And this game means so much to me, since this was my introduction to the Alien universe, as well as my first horror game. And this is an old-school shooter game that I would give anything for a remaster to PC or modern consoles. So, considering it's the spooky season and we wait for Nightdive to remaster this game, why don't we master the original in the meantime? Welcome back to a new RetroAchievements Mastery. Today, I'll be getting all achievements on the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn versions of Alien Trilogy using the RetroAchievements website. So similar to Toy Story 2, I'll be mastering multiple versions of the same game. However, unlike Toy Story 2, both sets of Alien Trilogy have exclusive achievements. So what I'm going to do for this video is give focus on the PlayStation version since it's the version I grew up with, and it's also the best way to experience this classic, and after mastering said version, I'll give light to the Saturn version the same way I talked about the N64 and Dreamcast versions of Toy Story 2, but this time giving emphasis to the exclusive Saturn achievements. But with that out of the way, let's enter the world of the Alien universe and master Alien Trilogy for the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn. So because this game is called Alien Trilogy, you might think that this game will be split into 3 smaller games retelling the stories of the first 3 Alien movies, similar to the Die Hard Trilogy game. However, no. This game is a linear adventure that takes you to places based on the 3 Alien movies. Starting things off, we have the colony base of LV-426 from Aliens, where we return to the alien planet as Ellen Ripley with a battalion of Colonial Marines to investigate the lost contact with the colony. Spoilers! Everyone dies. With Ripley being the sole survivor and armed with nothing but a 9mm pistol, she ventures into the dilapidated base in search for survivors and a way out of this rock. So this game works on a level-by-level structure. And for this video, I'll do something different and just catalog my journey through this game while mentioning times where we work for miscellaneous achievements. Starting off with Section 1, Level 1, or just Level 1, Entrance. And right off the bat, I have to give an attention to the soundtrack because holy crap, this soundtrack is absolute perfection. And the first track you hear in this game outside the main menu, which is also a banger, lives in my head rent-free and will most definitely unlock a core memory for all of us PS1 kids today. So as we go through the halls of Hadley's Hope, we encounter facehuggers, which unlike other Alien games where getting facehugged means an instant death, here they're just an inconvenience we can dispose of with our 9mm. And as we reach the main part of this level, we're surrounded by explosive barrels that our 9mm will do nothing to them. So we need to find more powerful weapon that will allow us to destroy these red bombs and proceed onward. And as we kill most spiders, we come across our first weapon, the shotgun, which will give us our first achievement of the set. And as we collect our shotgun across the barrel barrier, we come face to face with our first Xenomorph Warrior, which moves all over the place, hits for a lot of damage, and later down the road will become your most dreaded enemy. But here, we can just snipe him with the shotgun and take him down with the pistol to work our way to another achievement. So like I mentioned earlier, there are a bunch of extra achievements we can get in both this game and the Saturn version. The PlayStation set has 15 exclusive achievements, 4 of them require getting new weapons at the earliest opportunity, like the shotgun in level 1, and 5 of them related to killing a specific amount of enemies with said weapons, like 50 with the pistol and 100 with the shotgun. But we also have interesting challenges, like the one we're working for, which is, yes, this pea shooter can kill them, where you have to kill 10 xenomorph warriors with the pistol without dying. And by hearing the description, you think that this achievement will be a tedious grind, since you have to kill 10 of the toughest enemies, if not the toughest enemy, with the weakest weapon of the game. However, that's not truly the case, because for this achievement and other achievements regarding the pistol, if you damage the Xenos with any weapon and then do the killing blow with the pistol, then it will count towards the achievement. And since I'm playing on Raging Terror, which is the equivalent of this game's normal mode, 3 shotgun blasts will weaken the warrior enough so that 1 or 2 pistol shots will kill them. So once we defeat our first warrior, we open this door to lure 2 more and repeat the process of using the pistol for the killing blow. And in the room where they came from, we can defeat more spiders as well as collect a battery, which is the most important item of every single level, since with this, you can operate this large terminal and open the door to finish the level. And once we make it to the end, we cross the door, finish the first level, get our first progression achievement, and get some stats to see how we performed. So for both achievement sets, we have achievements where we need to get 100% on all 3 of these stats. The mission stat is the most important of the 3, since having a low percentage will give you the punishment of not accessing special levels where you can collect ammo and health, but more importantly, having less than 25% mission, the game will make you redo the level again until you get a good percentage. But all things considered, if you just play the level, getting 100% mission is incredibly easy. Next up is the secret stat, where you need to uncover secrets by heading into special rooms, breaking specific walls with items that will come across in the next level, or just going into specific areas of the level. And finally, we have the alien stat, which is essentially your kill stat. And this stat is definitely the most annoying stat to get 100%, mainly due to the fact that you can kill every enemy in a level and still end up with 95 to 98%, making getting the 100% achievements almost impossible. That said, there is a very easy way to get the 100% achievements, but we'll talk about it once we finish our first playthrough. Moving on to level 2, we have Outer Complex, and here we have our first non-linear level, where we have to find switches and backtrack to previous explored hallways to get access to new rooms. And as we find the switches that we need to activate for the mission, we get our 10th Xeno kill with the pistol and get this not so bad achievement, which comes to show that yes, the pea shooter can kill the toughest enemies, even though we get surprised by an unknown visitor. Hi, you're... What are you doing here? I thought there was only 2 of them. So as we move on to these halls, we come across seismic charges, which will allow us to destroy specific walls marked by blue in our auto map and access more of the level, or get some secrets. And in this secret, we get a flamethrower, as well as a hypopack, which will grant us invincibility for 30 seconds. Unfortunately, when I picked up the flamethrower, I was supposed to get an achievement, but for some reason, I did not get it. But that's fine, because we do need to do a second playthrough of this game, no matter what. Although this is definitely not the only time where achievements are going to start bugging out. Oh, it's this room. Okay, 26. Wait, why is it not moving forward? Now, because we get a good mission percentage on level 2, we are now granted access to a supply drop level, where we have a limited amount of time to grab ammunition for our weapons, seismic charges, and health, which includes a super important item that you can get if you blow up these walls with charges. And that super important item is the Adrenaline Burst, which will boost your HP to 200 HP, which is very important since there is an achievement where you need to reach 400 HP with the use of these derm patches, which act the same as health bonuses from Classic Doom. And once time runs out or you head through the door, we will get an achievement for completing the rearming level. Level 3 introduces us to human enemies, which the game describes them as infected, which at first I thought it was a thing from the movies, but later I would realize that is not the case. But in this level, we get our first armor, the Acid Vest, which will give us 100 armor points, which will protect us from losing HP, because the armor in this game works very similar to the modern Doom games, because taking damage will reduce armor, and once the armor is gone, you will start losing health. That said, there are 2 instances where you will take damage with armor, and those are taking fall damage, which we will encounter later throughout the game, as well as getting face hugged. And here's where we also start to get more cryptic secrets, like this one where you need to flame the wall in order to lower it, which will give us a shoulder lamp, which will brighten up the place a bit and give a yellow filter to the game for a couple of minutes. Level 4 is the most memorable level for me. We got this dark hallway to the right where spiders and Xenos will appear from the shadows, this blue flashing room that caused nightmares as a kid, and of course, we have this music that starts with a heartbeat. Then we get a respirator sound. And once the melody plays to the end, we get a piano solo accompanied with the heavy breathing from xenomorphs stalking you in the dark halls. Man, now I want to play Isolation with this music and see how it fits. In this level, we also get introduced to the chest bursters, which are a more aggressive version of face huggers, but nothing special besides that. But more importantly, once we open the end door and explore all the rooms in this medical facility, if we backtrack to the beginning, we can go to a secret alcove that contains a brand new weapon, the pulse rifle, which is going to be a valuable partner for the rest of the game, and by claiming this specific pulse rifle, we get another achievement. Next up, we have another supply drop level, which is the same as the last one. However, this time, we now have to destroy these crates to get the bonus inside of them. And once we finish it, we move on to the next level, level 5, where we explore this huge open garage and get closer to the core of the Xeno infestation in the base. This level is massive, and it can be a pretty difficult level, especially considering that if you play the level in certain ways, you may think you softlock the game and can't beat it. But as long as you check your automapper and take a note of these blue squares, you'll finish this level no problem. After that, we have another supply drop, this time filled with a lot of derm patches that will help us get to 400 HP. And once we finish it and get another achievement, we move on to what I would say is the hardest section of Section 1, the Atmosphere Processor level, where this level gives us more tanky Xeno warriors, this time taking 6 shotgun shells instead of the usual 4. And we also get introduced to the synthetics, which are equipped with a goddamn smart gun, but they're nothing compared to some explosive charges. And speaking of the shotgun, let's keep ranking up the kills for the shotgun achievement. So usually warriors take 4 hits. So now, 2, 3, I said 3, 4, 5. So yeah, now these guys take more hits. Why did the shotgun achievement reset? So yeah, somehow the shotgun achievement resetted, and I have no idea why it happened. Thankfully, this is the only time a kill achievement actually resetted, which kinda sucks, and I'm honestly glad it wasn't the pistol because that would drive me insane. But speaking of the pistol, on the bright side, we were able to kill our 50th enemy with the pistol and get nothing wrong with the basics. Although this won't be the final achievement regarding the pistol, as we'll see later down the road. So as for level 6, this one is not that bad thanks to the pulse rifle, but the second half of the level is where it can get scary, since we have this bridge with 6 warriors that can overwhelm you if you're not careful. And after that, we have this walkway where if you fall off in any point, it is an instant death. And if you die in this game, no matter what, back to the title screen and go again. So if you haven't saved your game, you have to do a brand new playthrough from the beginning. Unless you decided to write down the password, but who uses passwords in this day and age with emulation? And of course, you could use save states, but I'm not allowed to do that. But once we get past that, we get some remaining secrets, rack up kills for the flamethrower kill achievement, and finish level 6, but also get our very first 100% achievement by getting 100% on all 3 stats in the Atmosphere Processor level. Next up, we have our final supply drop for Section 1, and unlike the previous 3, we have a square area with steam and flame jets bursting down on you. But in this supply drop, we get our first bodysuit, which will give us 200 armor as well as a new achievement. And once we rearm ourselves, we head to the basement of the Atmosphere Processor and the penultimate level of Section 1. Starting things off, we have a warrior right at the start as we exit the starting room. And once we get rid of him, we encounter something scary. And yeah, as you can see... Oh my god, they bursted. Everybody run. So in this level, we have to put the remaining alive colonists out of their misery before they burst out an alien. We also have these hanging Xenos that don't do anything. But once we continue on with the level and head down into this egg chamber, we can get the Fires of Hell Unleashed for burning up 75 enemies with the flamethrower. And once we clear out the eggs, we go into the final room where we have these 3 dark hallways filled with Xeno warriors. But as a big rule of thumb, as long as you take your time and choose your battles carefully, this level plus the rest of the game is really not that difficult. In fact, I'll say right now that if you play your cards right and do not rush, this game is overall incredibly easy to beat, both on normal and even on the hardest difficulty, which I will address when we get to it. But for now, let's finish our basement dwelling mission and arrive at the Queen's Lair, where we have a bunch of eggs, a bunch of spiders, and the big old bitch just staring at our carnage. And here's where we can get another achievement, where we need to kill a Xenomorph queen with the pistol. And similar to the Xenomorph achievement, we want to damage the queen enough so that we can kill her without wasting our pistol ammo. Oh my god, wow. Okay, I miscounted that terribly. So unfortunately I missed the achievement. But that's okay, because I have 2 more opportunities to get this achievement during our first playthrough. But after we kill the bitch, we head to the exit, get our achievement, and finish things up with Section 1, the Colonial base. Section 2 begins with Ripley running for her life as the APC bursts through the wall just in the nick of time, with Ripley giving the most over-the-top reaction that still makes me giggle to this day. Oh my god. God, it's the arc and the fact that she starts doing it before the APC bursts through the wall. Oh my god. Once inside the APC, Bishop tells us that the dropship crashed into the atmosphere processor cooling system, which somehow will make the entire planet explode. I heard about overkill, but goddamn. Ripley then mentions that she detected some colonist PDTs in the detention center and wants to look for survivors. Bishop also mentions that they could use the prison's satellite dish to call upon the second dropship from the Sulaco and make it before the bomb goes off. And so, with that motivation, we head into Section 2, the prison complex, which, as you can very clearly see by these levels, is a big reference to Alien 3. And now you understand why this game is called Alien Trilogy. The first level, level 9, Living Quarters, we get introduced to 2 new enemies. The company soldiers that are armed with pulse rifles that only do 1 damage, and the young Xenomorph dog, which, you know, if the aesthetics of this section didn't scream Alien 3 enough, I don't know what will. Now, the company soldiers are important to us because now we can build up to another achievement, where you need to kill 15 human enemies with the pistol, except for the pistol humans in Section 1 from levels 3 and 4. You could kill the synthetics, but honestly they're not worth it. For this first level, the soldiers take 2 volleys with a pulse rifle to kill, so just like the warrior achievement, shoot them once and then finish them off with the pistol. And considering that all human enemies do 1 damage, like I said before, this achievement is really not that bad. I also love how this level has the escape pod from the movie as a cool reference, even though we're not in Fury 161, but whatever. Level 10 puts us in the canteen area of the prison. We once again have to collect ID tags, and as we explore these quarters and shoot some dogs, we get bigger guns mean nothing for killing 15 human enemies with the pistol. Now this level is the first and only level where getting 100% mission is actually impossible, due to this locker not breaking and spewing out an ID tag. That said, you may think that getting the 100% achievement is impossible, but there's a fix to this, which I'll mention later. But for now, we enter the side area and finally get our shotgun kills achievement. And as we open the final door, we get ambushed by soldiers and have to fight our way through these bastards and head to the next level. Level 11 has us operating these lifts so that we can head down through the main lift into the next level. Which, yeah, I have nothing interesting to say about this level. It is by far the smallest level in the section, and possibly the game, not counting the Queen's Lairs. And you just need to go to the bottom and activate these terminals so that you can access the second floor. But besides that, we get a new bodysuit and finish another easy level. Thankfully, level 12 is a more involved level, and it is also my favorite stage of Section 2, where we have a lot of exploration and secret walls to tear down while shutting down the steam and flame pipes while eliminating more company soldiers and dogs in the process. But once we reach the end, we want to activate this panel and head into this dead end, where you can blow up this wall and claim our final weapon, the Smart Gun, which shoots bullets that track multiple enemies, packs an incredible punch, and gives us our next unlock achievement referencing a particular big freaking gun. After finishing this level, we get our first supply drop level for Section 2, which for this and Section 3 will only have 2 rearming stages instead of Section 1's 4. And these supply drops feature multiple tunnels where you have to destroy crates and get the goods. And once we finish our first supply run, we head into level 13 and say goodbye to the company soldiers and say hello to the alien handlers. You know, these guys from Alien 3 who do absolutely nothing except for shooting this guy at the end of the film and looking cool, I guess. But in this level, which is filled with flooded tunnels and a shit ton of chest bursters, which we want to kill with the smart gun, which yes, does sound like overkill, but trust me, it isn't. We also have the introduction of a new type of xenomorph, the adult dog Xeno, which is a brand new alien design not present in Alien 3. Maybe as a concept art, but I haven't found any evidence to sustain that fact. And these red bastards are the equivalent to the warriors of this section, only slower and deal less damage. And they're also not very tanky. For now at least. And here is where we also get our next kill achievement, where we need to kill 200 enemies with the pulse rifle, giving us,
"This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for shooting, and this is for fun."
But besides that, even with the new enhanced humans and xenomorphs, this is another easy level, which makes Section 2, in my opinion, the easiest part of the game. Now yes, it's mainly because of the lack of warriors and of course using ammo the correct way, where you don't want to hold the fire button because when enemies do their paint state, they will be completely invincible during that animation, which means that the best way to deal with enemies in this game and saving ammo in the process is to use
short controlled bursts.
But besides that, another easy level we can finish no problem. Level 14 has the return of synthetics, which are as pathetic as they were back in Section 1, especially now since you can actually snipe them with the pulse rifle grenade before they can even have a chance to hit you. And when we get to the second half of this level, we will see that the dog Xenos start to get a bit more tanky, taking 5 pulse rifle shots instead of 3, which is the last time they'll be buffed. They're not going to be incredibly annoying later, right? But as we reach this furnace area that deals proximity damage to Ripley, we head towards the exit and kill more face huggers that will give us an achievement that, trust me, it's not overkill. I don't know what you're talking about. It is completely necessary that we kill these arachnids with a big freaking gun. And after exploring a secret side area with more dogs and more smart gun ammo, we end the stage and head to our second and final supply drop stage for Section 2, where it's basically the same as the first one. So now we move on to level 15, Lead Mold, which is the final level of Section 2 before the Queen. And this stage for a very long time was a stage that I dreaded, mainly due to the fact that this stage can be confusing, especially with its gimmick. But also, we have another buff to the Xeno dogs. But also, remember how in Atmosphere Processor the drones were boosted in HP? Well, for some reason they did the same thing with the dogs. Because yeah, now these guys take a stupid amount of damage to... Or these guys now take a stupid amount of hits to kill. So once you make it to the other side of the map by figuring out which doors are open, we are now locked in, and we have to operate these 5 panels in order to open the doors so that we can make it back to the beginning, since the exit is located back there. Even though yes, you could actually go back to the beginning after getting the battery, however, if you do that, you're not gonna get enough percentage for the mission, and you have to restart the level again. And for this playthrough, I activated the panels in a U pattern from left to right using the way I came from as a reference point. And by doing this, we spawn more Xeno dogs, but also have a clear way to the end, which, now that I'm writing this part of the script, I have to admit that after replaying this level for both this and the Saturn Mastery, I don't think this level is as bad as I remembered. So hey, good job Alien Trilogy for making me enjoy a level I disliked for a long time. Let's see if that applies to more stages I dread. Level 16 is our final stage for Section 2, where once again we have infiltrated a Queen's lair. And similar to Section 1, this stage is very simple, although the Queen does have more HP, which threw me off when trying to go for the pistol kill achievement again, since instead of killing her accidentally, I ran out of pistol ammo in the process. But that's fine, I guess, since we have one last chance to get this achievement during this playthrough. But with the Queen dead, we finish up Section 2 and I'm gonna be honest, my least favorite part of the game. Mainly because of the fact that the aesthetic and level design of the section is very samey. Not to mention that even on normal, this section is stupid easy. Let's see if the final section of the game delivers in terms of difficulty. No, that's definitely not gonna happen. It's gonna be easy, right? Section 3 begins with Ripley exiting the prison complex and boarding a planet vehicle, wondering where the heck Bishop ran off to. But as she ponders, a bolt of lightning shows her the derelict Bone Ship, the place that kickstarted this amazing sci-fi franchise. So Ripley takes the buggy and heads for the Bone Ship and take the fight to the Xenos and end their menace. Even though the planet is going to fucking explode, but whatever. Level 17 starts off with some nice promises, as we see some Xenodogs coming out of the goddamn walls. So yeah, certain levels in the Bone Ship will have fake walls that will uncover secrets or a bunch of Xenos waiting for you as you cross to their turf. But as long as you take your time, the Bone Ship section is really not that hard. Here we also have the return of alien handlers who can now shoot grenades. However, the explosion of them is so minuscule that it's almost a non-threat. But besides that, we grab some derm patches that give us 10 extra health and finally reach 400 HP and get the achievement I was the most worried about. And as a nice little bonus, we also get the 100% achievement for level 17. So once we finish this level, we arrive at a circular room, where we have certain doors that will open, leading us to other points of the Bone Ship. This level is known as the Pilot's Chamber, which works as a sort of hub to Section 3, and I guess a way to extend Section 3, since the Bone Ship only has 6 levels compared to the previous 2 sections that had 8. And in these levels, we have a specific enemy that we have to deal with as we make it to the next level. For Pilot's Chamber 1, we have nothing but face huggers and a bunch of derm patches. And as we continue through the circle, we will find 2 doors that can open, one of them being the way to the next level, while the other one is a fake exit, which does nothing but give you supplies or spawn more enemies. But once we go through the correct door, we arrive at level 18, Canyons and Catacombs, which is by far one of the worst designed levels I've ever experienced in any first-person shooter. And people say levels from TNT are bad. So this level is split into 2 sections. We have the canyons, I guess, and the catacombs that we have to access through a secret entrance. And that's the biggest catch. If you enter the catacomb section from the wrong side, you will not have enough percentage and have to restart the level again. But what makes this level so badly designed is the fact that we have this goo that deals 10 damage per second, and that you must walk through it if you want to get access to all the secrets and get into the catacombs the right way. And if you don't know what you're doing, this level is a huge pain in the ass, to the point that I'm not going to be surprised if you end up dying in this level or not have enough health for the next levels. But once you get into the catacombs the right way, the rest of the level is really not that bad. We just need to kill more dogs and also get our smart gun achievement in the process. But we also have these puddles on the ground that also do damage. And yeah, even though the second part of the level is not that bad, even the second part finds ways to just be badly designed. Let's just end this nightmare so that we can return to the Pilot's Chamber. Although, sadly, this will not be the last time we get to this stupid ass level. Pilot's Chamber 2 features young dog Xenos, which are very easy to deal with, and just like before, you can just skip all enemies and go to the exit, assuming you don't get stuck like a moron, like me. But now we move on to level 19, Secrets, which is, for many, the hardest level in the game, having the return of synthetics, a lot of fake walls, and the grand return of the Xenomorph warriors, this time in their most deadly form. And I guess the reason they didn't show up during Section 2 is mainly because they wanted to find ways to reproduce themselves like nothing else, because holy shit, the next 2 levels have so many fucking Xenomorph warriors. For this level, we need to head into these tunnels and collect ID tags while blasting through warriors. And this level can be overwhelming, but as long as you take your time, this level is honestly not that bad, to the point that I can gladly say that this is, without question, my favorite level in the game. Yes, it's hard, and yes, there are moments that can be bullshit, like the final room before the end where you have this pool and going into the pool is going to deal damage to you, which is very infuriating. But again, as long as you take your time and abuse the smart gun's auto aim, this level, if you take your time, is very enjoyable. And learning the layout is the fun part of it. Even though I screwed up getting 100%, which is very sad. Now, before we return to the pilot's chamber, we have our first supply drop level, which is a linear hall with fake walls to the left and right. And just like other rearming levels, this is another freebie. Although for this one, you can actually take full damage right here, so be careful with that. The last thing you want is dying in a freaking rearming stage. How pathetic would that be? Pilot's Chamber 3 now features the adult dogs. And just like before, this one is very easy. Although I do like that every version of the chamber has a different color light, to make it more ominous and show that it's changing in some way, which is a feature that is also present in the Saturn version, which I really like. Level 20 is what I would consider to be the hardest level in the game. Mainly the beginning, because we start off with a lone warrior, which is not that bad, only to get trolled by a secret grenade that has 4 warriors surrounding you. Now, if you manage to survive this encounter, the rest of the level is really not that bad. It's a pretty straight line with some synthetics here and there that you have to take down for the mission. But then we get to the end of the level. Okay, so right here we got the final part of the level. And basically what we need to do is we gotta hit all of these switches. Now, don't hit the red switch, because that's the last one we're gonna hit. And as soon as we hit the red switch, get the hell out of there, because you're going to spawn like almost 20 warriors. Yeah, it's insane, this next part, because you spawn so many of them. So yeah, let me just do this. Look at all those dots. Look at all those dots. Oh my god, it's so stupid. And yeah, for some reason they take a while to get over here if you're on the other side of that wall. I guess acid wall. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, that's the ending right there. So let's see how many there were. Actually, I believe there's more that we haven't killed yet. Like, see, it's even more of them. My goodness. I think somebody accidentally put an extra 0 on the amount of Xenos that they want in this level. Because Jesus Christ. So now we got this area, which is even more. See? Oh my god. At this point, this is just funny. It's not even infuriating, it's just funny. 21, 22, 23. Yeah, like I said, there are so many warriors. My god, it's kind of insane. But also pretty funny. The next pilot's chamber features warriors and facehuggers, but just like the other versions of the chamber, just take your time or rush through the exit as fast as possible to move on with your mission, which puts us in level 21, where we infiltrate the egg chambers and have the directive of committing egg genocide. Compared to the last 3 levels, this stage is much easier and much linear, with only one direction to go and not a lot of warriors to fight. But once we destroy their last remaining eggs, we arrive at the final version of the pilot's chamber, where we have every type of Xeno in this level except for young dogs. However, instead of finding the exit for this one, we first have to make it to the center of the chamber, where we have the obligatory cameo of the iconic space jockey in all of its PlayStation 1 graphical glory. But once we clear out the main chamber, we head through the doors and head into the final level, level 22, Queen's Lair 3. And just like the other layers, this one is another simple level. But here we have our last opportunity in this playthrough to become the ultimate badass. So fun fact, the Saturn version has a similar achievement to this. However, you actually need to kill the queen with the flamethrower, which is, yeah, kind of weird. So in this one is the pistol, and in the Saturn version is the flamethrower. And there it is, ultimate badass. And there it is. We did it. Queen's Lair. Oh, I missed an alien somewhere. Yeah, this is another one I usually get 100% on everything, but alas. So, we defeated the final bitch and escaped the planet right as it explodes, with Ripley having a well-deserved rest. But if you look closely, another ship escaped the planet, where the crew wasn't so lucky. We may have defeated the Xenos on their planet, but their menace is not over. So that's it for the first playthrough of the game. with 45 out of 89 achievements unlocked. So now it's time for the second playthrough, which will be done on hard mode, also known as the Xenomania difficulty. Now, when it comes to the different difficulties, the biggest change between easy to normal is that on easy, you can walk over xenocorpses and not take acidic damage. However, besides that, the enemy damage is still the same. However, enemy HP does change depending on the difficulty, but it's not that big of a change if you ask me. But then we have the Xenomania difficulty, which takes a page from Doom's Nightmare difficulty, where it's the same as normal, but with the tiny detail that enemies respawn. However, unlike Doom's respawning enemies, where the respawn is based on an RNG timer, in this game, the respawning is based on distance. So if you leave a room in a level and come back to it, depending on how far you went, will depend if the Xenos respawned, which makes levels that require backtracking a huge pain in the ass. But will you believe me when I tell you that Xenomania is really not that hard? If you take your time and know where to go in each level, the respawning quirk is not going to be that noticeable. Now yes, there will be levels where backtracking is practically inevitable, especially considering that for this playthrough, we're also going to go for every 100% achievement, since the respawning enemies will guarantee you getting 100% kills. But even then, once you make it to section 2, human enemies that drop ammo will drop them again once they respawn. And even then, because of the supply drops, ammo is essentially a non-issue. And as a bonus, if you kill any enemy with a direct shot with a seismic charge or grenade, that enemy will despawn from the level and will never come back. So you could use this on certain enemies like the synthetics or certain Xenos in certain levels. Now that being said, there are some aspects I want to bring up with this playthrough that can and will be annoying or tedious. For starters, because there is no tracker to see your percentage on kills, secrets, and mission, you will never know if you got everything until you finish the level, which may lead to annoying moments where you explored everything in a level, but you somehow missed a secret, just because you didn't interact with a small pixel in the level. Thanks for that, Garage. So because of that annoying aspect, my biggest recommendation for this playthrough, which also applies to the Saturn version, save every time you finish a level 100%. Do not chance it, and as long as you do that, you'll be fine and not have to do another pointless playthrough. That said, I do want to give special mention to certain levels like level 10 or section 2, level 2, Canteen, where you need to collect ID tags as part of the mission. And I want to give mention to this because, like I said before, there is an ID tag that drops by destroying this locker at the beginning of the level, which for some reason there is no way to do so, which essentially gets getting 100% mission impossible. However, in this level, there are soldiers that drop ID tags when killed, and if you kill them again when they respawn, they will drop another ID tag. So basically what you want to do is, after exploring the level, when you open the door to the exit and respawn the ambush enemies, go back and forward on this hallway on the end to respawn the soldiers that drop ID tags. And by doing this, you'll actually manage to get 100% for this level. The next level I want to bring up is level 20 drop lifts from section 3. And the reason why is because getting 100% secrets is impossible, because this grenade drop before the 4 Xeno ambush is impossible to get. However, thankfully, the developer of this set actually took notice of it, and he basically modified the achievement so that you will actually get this if you get everything except for that one secret. But besides those 2 levels, the rest of the game will basically play the same, and during this playthrough, we did get the flamethrower achievement by collecting it during level 2, and we also managed to get the final supply drop by having completed level 20 with enough mission percent, which we did miss on our first playthrough. But yeah, because of the fact that you can actually control which enemies despawn, not to mention that most levels are really not that big, with the except of Garage, Secrets, and some other levels in Section 2. The rest of the game is really not that hard. So because of that, let's just get to the end and master this game. Actually, this is good that we kill her now, because the door to the end will spawn like a bunch of face huggers that we can actually farm for kills. Alright, let's spawn them again. Oh my god, look at all those spiders, my god. Somebody get the bug spray. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, prepare the timer. Let's go. And time. And there it is. I cannot see my time. Alien Trilogy, PlayStation 1 version, mastered in 8 hours and 51 minutes. So despite the fact that Xenomania is really not that bad, there were some achievements that can be annoying to get, like reaching 400 health, getting the kills achievement if the achievement count resets for no reason, like what happened to me with the shotgun, and the tedious grind on getting 100% of every level, missing a secret that you very clearly found but the game didn't trigger. I'll give this set a 7 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. If supply drop levels weren't a thing in this game, which is actually a thing in the PC version by the way, and if enemies also respawn based on time rather than distance like how it is in Doom's Nightmare difficulty, I would have given the difficulty an 8 or even a 9. But because most levels are to some extent linear and secrets are not that cryptic to find, once you get the pulse rifle in level 4, the game becomes so much easier in Xenomania. And the game doesn't get ultra difficult until, I would say, level 19, Secrets, where you can get overwhelmed by warriors if you don't know how to tackle that level, which happened to me in the Saturn version because yes, I actually died on the Saturn version, which was very sad because the last enemy of the level killed me. I have to say that I really did enjoy the extra achievements, like killing a specific number of enemies with every weapon, which makes you test out different weapons. And I actually really like the pistol achievement since it forces you to try to not overload enemies with bullets so that you actually instantly kill them. And I also like the encouragement to try out Xenomania. It's not as bullshit as Nightmare from Doom, but it can still be a challenge if you don't go for all secrets. So because of that, I'm giving this set an 8 in terms of quality as well as fun. I was thinking of lowering fun to a 7, but because the resets trying to get 100% were not that many, I will be generous and give this an 8. Even though going for 100% is definitely the weakest part of this game, mainly because of the fact that there are levels that there are points of no return, not to mention that there's no tracker, therefore you cannot know if you got everything until you beat the level. Which is why I'm giving Canyons and Catacombs 100%, the title for being the hardest achievement of the set, just because this stage straight out sucks and I don't like playing it. Now yes, I did get it first try, but there have been countless times, including the Saturn version, where I got 95 secrets for no stupid reason. Fuck this level, worst level in the game, and one of the worst design levels I played in a first-person shooter. And speaking of the Saturn version, let's address that version now. So unlike Toy Story 2's achievements, the Sega Saturn achievement set of Alien Trilogy is somewhat different from the PlayStation 1 set. It does have the same progression and 100% achievements, but there are other changes. For starters, every version of the pilot's chamber from Section 3 now has achievements for completing them. There are no achievements for beating every level in Xenomania, and we now have 10 exclusive achievements to grab. That said, out of these 10 achievements, only 6 of them are worth talking about, because the other 4 are incredibly simplistic or modified versions of PlayStation 1 achievements. Those being Whoopie fucking Do for recovering 50 health from derm patches, Save One for Yourself for killing 5 xenomorphs with the pistol instead of 10, More Alien Than Human, which you have to kill 50 humanoid enemies with the pulse rifle, and finally Royal Cremation, where you have to kill a queen with the flamethrower instead of the pistol, which is much easier to do. But then we have the other 6 achievements which are more involved, especially when 3 of them are tied to Xenomania, which I decided to name them the Xenomania Trio. But we'll talk about those 3 later. Let's talk about the other 3 instead. Starting out, we have I Prefer Them Hard Boiled, where you need to kill 4 facehuggers in a row during the first level of the game without firing a single shot. And this one is incredibly easy, since you will encounter exactly 4 facehuggers before you even get the shotgun. Just let them crawl up to you and get some badly pixelated spiders on your face, and presto, you got the achievement. The next achievement we're going to talk is Spawn Killing, which ironically has to be acquired during the final level, Egg Chambers, where you need to kill 10 facehuggers as they're hatching from the eggs. And I'm going to be completely honest, I have no idea how this achievement works. By the description of the achievement, you may think that you have to destroy the eggs as they're opening, but there have been times where doing it just doesn't count, but there have been times when shooting the eggs when they're closed or completely open, it does count. And in both times I've mastered this game, I still have no idea how to properly get this one. But if you just play the level normally, you will hopefully get it no problem. The last achievement we're going to talk about is by far the most annoying achievement, mainly due to the specifications of it. At least I got off the morphine requires you to get 200 health and 200 armor from a new game, meaning that if you reload when starting a new session and you meet the requirements, you're not getting the achievement. And the reason this one is annoying is because you need to have exactly 200 health before you pick up a bodysuit that gives you 200 armor, which means that if you accidentally pick up a derm patch and go past 200, you have to waste your armor and then lose some precious health just to get the achievement again. I almost got this achievement during the final supply drop of section 1, but I accidentally picked up a derm patch and died a little inside when that happened. That said, the best place to get this achievement is in level 1 of the prison complex, because you not only have an adrenaline burst, but there's also 2 bodysuits you can pick up. So what I ended up doing was getting the first bodysuit, go to the end for the adrenaline burst, and then backtrack for the second armor. That said, because I was playing on Xenomania, let's just say that things got scary, mainly because I didn't want to get face hugged. So moral of the story, do not get this achievement on hard. But now we have the last 3 achievements, which I dubbed as the Xenomania Trio. Aliens 1986, Alien 3 1992, and Alien 1997, where you need to beat all 3 sections on Xenomania and in a single session separately. Aliens is a very straightforward one, since you just need to beat the first section of the game, which I was able to get no problem, while getting 100% on every single level. But the other 2 are something special, because in order to get these achievements, you need to use a cheat code to warp to the beginning of both section 2 and 3. And because you're warping, this means that you're starting the other 2 sections with only your pistol. In other words, you're doing sections 2 and 3 with a pistol start, which means that you now have to procure weapons as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's bye-bye for Ripley. So before actually tackling these achievements, I was dreading these achievements, mainly because of the fact that not a lot of weapons were available on section 2 and 3. At least I thought of it that way. As you begin level 1, head to the room with the escape pod and kill this particular company soldier, since he drops seismic charges when killed. After that, go back to the beginning and bomb this wall and the wall at the end of this little hallway to get the pulse rifle. And once you acquire the pulse rifle, that's it. You're basically set for the rest of the section. It becomes another casual playthrough to section 2, with the big difference that for this achievement, you do not need to go for 100%. You just need to get to the end and kill the queen, which thankfully means I can just skip pointless rooms. But yeah, besides that, this achievement is incredibly easy. And it's even more easy if you go for the smart gun in the 4th level of section 2. But then we have the Alien 1979 achievement, where you have to pistol start and make it to the end of the bone ship section in a single session. And this one is more involved, but overall not that bad. For tunnels, you want to essentially run for your life, as you avoid the alien handlers and dogs, while pressing the switches, where one of these little cubbies where a switch is has a bodysuit. The section with the dogs is the trickiest, mainly due to the fact that we have dogs being inside the rooms with the panels you have to activate. But if you run in a circle, it's really not that bad. And once you get to the final section of the level, you can grab your first 2 weapons, a shotgun and a flamethrower, which you can use for the next level. If you can have the stupid lift lower, because what the heck is a trigger? Seriously, these lifts are so annoying. They're probably my least favorite part of this game by a long shot. Now, similar to Alien 3, before heading into this achievement, I was dreading this section, mainly because of secrets and drop lifts, and also this level being a huge pain in the ass. But if you get rid of the alien handlers and drop here for some protective boots, you can head into the secret and get the pulse rifle. And once you claim the pulse rifle, you can just beat the level normally. Just go into the catacombs, kill some dogs, and it's off to secrets. Secrets is a level where a lot of people will probably struggle, but if you know the level layout, this one is manageable. At the start, head down the lift to the right after blowing up the synthetic. Once you deal with the Xenos, we get to the scary part, where we have to go down the slope into the embrace of 3 warriors that are literally impossible to hit since we don't have charges and aiming down is not possible. Not to mention that without the smart gun, we cannot auto-lock to them. So what you want to do is just YOLO it and blast these Xenos with grenades. And after that, you just want to take this section slowly, waking up one warrior at a time and making it through these secret tunnels. Now the reason we want to head down here first is not only for getting the ID tags for the mission, but here we can also get the smart gun, which is going to be your best friend for the rest of the bone ship. And as we make it through these tunnels, we will also get an adrenaline burst and some armor to restock, as well as even more smart gun ammo. And once you hit the lift to get out of here, you're gonna spawn a stupid load of Xenos that will spawn once you actually exit this area, but also you'll have to fight Xenos that activated from another room. And for this part, I recommend that you kill them inside the tunnels area, because if you decide to backtrack, which I will in order to get some more ammo and armor, these guys will respawn and you have to fight them all again. But besides that, once you get the smart gun, the rest of section 3 gets easier. And at the end, we can defeat the Queen one final time and get our final achievement and master Alien Trilogy for the Sega Saturn. So, to save time, I'll give this version the same stats as the PlayStation version. 7 in difficulty and an 8 in quality and fun. I will admit that this set was overall somewhat easier than the PlayStation set, and that's mainly due to the fact that the extra achievements being very simple and a non-entity. I will admit that Alien 3 and Alien can be tough, but if you have a previous save from the beginning of section 2 and 3, you can just practice the first levels and see where the weapons are. And after that, it becomes a non-issue, which is why Alien 3 is honestly the easiest of the Xenomania trio because of the early Pulse Rifle. That said, my opinions of this set are similar to the PlayStation 1 set, but overall, the extra achievements do add a new different approach to this version. And as for the hardest achievement of this set, even though I was able to get it by the skin of my teeth, and not to mention that playing it on normal or easy, this achievement is not hard at all, I'm giving the hardest achievement for the Saturn set, at least I got off the morphine for reaching 200 health and armor from a new save. So I'll be honest, every time I come back to this game, I try not to bother for 100%, even if I play on Xenomania, and that's mainly because of the lack of statistics while you play the level. But besides that glaring issue, I still love this game, to the point that I can place this game in my top 10 favorite first-person shooter games, and even my top 20 favorite PS1 games. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, since it was a game that did legitimately scare me as a kid, and the positive outcome is that it did introduce me to the outstanding and, unfortunately, somewhat divisive Alien franchise. And for that, I am grateful. Without this game, there could be a chance that Alien would never become my favorite movie of all time, and Alien would not have been a part of my growing tastes. And I do recommend this game if you're an Alien fan and want some good old school PS1 first-person shooter action. And I really do encourage people actually to master these sets, whether it's the PlayStation set or the Saturn set. Big thanks to Schnick1980 for making the PlayStation set and Subliminal Siren for making the Saturn set. And now, if you'll excuse me, since today is Halloween, I have to perform my monthly satanic ritual in hopes that Nightdive Studios finally remasters this game alongside Alien Resurrection, because goddammit, it is long overdue. Thanks for watching this Retro Achievement Mastery. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future masteries. But also check out my Wolf Archives channel to see my full runs of each game I mastered. Next up, we're having a double feature of short games, those being Alien Syndrome for NES and Metroid 2 for Game Boy. I was really going to tackle them here in October, but I did run out of time, so I'll just do them before moving on to the next big game. That being Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonist for the PlayStation 2, which is a game that I've been wanting to do, and I also have a little surprise for you when we actually get to that game. And after that, I don't know what game I will tackle next, but I'll figure it out when the time comes. Although that being said, I will do Metroid Prime either as the final game of November or the first game of December in celebration of Metroid Prime 4 finally releasing. But with that said, that's all I got for you today. Thank you all for watching this spooktacular Halloween episode of Retro Achievement Masteries. My name is Jonathan Wolf, and I will see you all in my next mastery. Take it easy, everyone. And Nightdive, just remaster the games. Please, just do it.